Hey boys and girls, today we're going to be talking about subtraction with regrouping. So I have a little poem for you to memorize to help you in your subtraction. So this is what it says. More on top, no need to stop. So let me show you an example of that. So in this problem, 3,458 minus 325. We're going to first subtract the ones. We always start on the right when we're subtracting, when we're adding. So if I look at the number on the top, we have 8, and the number at the bottom is 5. So we have more on top. That means we do not need to stop and we do not need to regroup. We can just start subtracting. So 8 minus 5 is 3, and I can keep going on. 5 minus 2 is 3, 4 minus 3 is 1, and 3 minus 0 is 0. So we get 3,133. I didn't have to stop at all to do any regrouping. So just remember, if there's more on top, you don't need to stop. Okay, so the next part of our little poem is more on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. Okay, so if I look, I have the same number on top, but I'm subtracting something different on the bottom. So now I have 3,458, and I'm subtracting 1,239. So if I look here in my ones column, I always start with my ones first. I have less, or I have more on the bottom this time. 9 is greater than 8. So I always have to think to myself, can I take this number away from that number? Okay, I cannot. I can't take a greater number away from a smaller number. So I'm going to need to go next door. So I go next door to the next number, which is 5. And I'm going to cross it off, and I'm going to borrow a 10 from it. So it's hard to see there, but I wrote a little 4 above it. So now that becomes 4, and this 8 becomes 18. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see that. Okay, so you can see how I crossed out the 5 there, put a 4, and then this 8 became 18. Now I can take 18 minus 9, and that equals 9. And I'll keep going. 4 minus 3 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so if you have more on the floor, you need to go next door and get 10 more. So now let's talk about if you have two numbers that are the same. So if you have two numbers that are same, 0 is the game. That's the last part. So now I have that same number, 3,458, and I'm subtracting 1,258 from it. So again, we're going to start in the digits all the way to the right in the ones column. I have the same numbers on top, 8 and 8. So if I subtract those from 8 from 8, I get 0. Next, subtract my 10s, 5 minus 5, same number again, I get 0 again. And 4 minus 2 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, I'm gonna run through that poem again real quick with you. More on top, no need to stop. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. Number is the same, 0 is the game. Okay, so let's do a couple of practice problems next, okay? Okay, so the first one we're going to do, we're going to go from simple to more challenging. We have 562, and we're going to subtract 354. So remember our poem, more on top, no need to stop. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. Number is the same, 0 is the game. Okay, so again, we're going to start with our numbers in our ones column. We got 2 minus 4. We take 4 away from 2. Remember, if we have more on the floor, we need to go next door, okay? So I'm going to go next door to the 6. I'm going to borrow a 10. Okay, now I have 5 10s because I borrowed 1. And this 2 becomes 12. Now we have 12 ones. So now I can go ahead and continue subtracting. 12 minus 4 is 6. 5 minus 5, they're the same number, so 0 is the game. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. Your answer is 200. 6. Okay, let's do a more challenging one this time. Now we're going to subtract 25,624 minus 14,236. Okay, so let's go ahead and start subtracting. So again, we start with our number in our ones column. We have more on the floor. Okay, we can't take 6 away from 4. We need to go next door and get 10 more. I'm going to borrow a 10. So now that becomes 110. The 10 that we borrowed comes over here. And now we have 14 ones. So 14 minus 6, what do you think about that? Is 7. Okay, so now I have 1 minus 3. Again, I cannot take 3 away from 1. There's more on the floor. So I need to go next door again, borrow 1. That becomes 5. So now this number becomes 11. So 11 minus 3 now. You get 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. Don't forget to bring your comma down. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. Your answer is 11,387. And something I just want to remind you of. I noticed last week in some of your work that you were forgetting sometimes when you were adding, after you change the number up here, you're forgetting to use that number in your addition. So don't forget to do that and use the numbers in your subtraction. Okay, one more. This is going to be the most challenging. So we got 57,203. And we're going to subtract 24,275. Okay, so now we got 3 minus 5. We have more on the floor. We can't take 5 away from 3, so we're going to go next door. All right, but we cannot go next door here because there's none there, right? So we need to go next door again and borrow 1 here. So now this becomes 10. Okay, so now I can borrow from that. It becomes 9. And now I can take 13 minus 5 to 7. Oh, actually 8, sorry about that. Okay, then we can take 9 minus 7, which is 2. Can I take 1 minus 2? No. So I have to go next door, get 10 more, 7 becomes 6, and that the hundreds become 11. Then I can take 11 minus 2, 9, comma, 6 minus 4 is 2, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So that gives me 32,928. All right, so that's how you subtract with regrouping. Just remember that little poem. More on the top, no need to stop. More on the floor, like this one. Go next door and get 10 more. Number is the same, 0 is the game. So hopefully that will help you today in your work as you are doing your subtraction problems.